Visit us online at burningrubberradio.com for recipes from the NASCAR chef, John Dix, and more great content.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you what, that dang old internet, man, you just go on there and point and click, 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 click. It's real easy, man.
Now back to more Burning Rubber Radio.
Byron and Blaney blow it up at Darlington and Hamlin. Hogs, the win. That's 2 in a row for him, Andy.
That is 2 in a row for the hamster. He comes out and basically wins the race in overtime after, not being there the whole day long.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're gonna have to change
Byron snuck up the show for most of the day.
Yeah, he sure did. Led most of the laps in the race, and of course until our little wreck there towards the end there with Kyle Larson in that number 5 car.
Which really sucks because I was hoping to see Larson do good with that badass throwback. But
yeah,
it is what it is. By the way, guys, welcome to another edition of Burning Rubber. It's producer Wayne, Andrew DeLay, and the NASCAR chef John Dix. We've got NASCAR news for you. We've got sprint car news. We've got a little bit of everything coming in on the Monday show here. And as you heard just a second ago there in the opener, Denny Hamlin takes home 2 in a row now, winning the throwback weekend at Darlington Raceway. And I think we're going to have to change the name from the hamster to the hog now because that's 2 in a row. He's high on the hog.
Tell you what, Joe Gibbs Racing's got it going on this year. He joins Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell actually was there in the top 5 also.
Yeah.
So, great stuff.
Yeah, it's good
Joe
stuff.
Gibbs Racing.
All the way around here.
Those 2311 guys have been running a lot better this year, too.
Actually, they have. I didn't get a chance to re-look over the finishing order from yesterday. Where did Bubba Wallace finish?
I don't remember, but he ran up front.
You know what? Hold on a minute. Just because I want to laugh here for like 2 seconds. Let me pull up the finishing order from NASCAR.com here because this is where this is going to get good. Bubba Wallace, where did you finish?
Yeah, I think he fell back there towards the end.
Let's see here. Exactly kind of where I've expected it. 21st.
He's running out of talent at the end.
Yeah, he's running out of talent. See, I keep telling people this. I'm like I call this. Like it's every week. But hey, you know what? He still has my respect for right now because he has been doing okay for the most part of the first half of the season. So I'll give a little bit of credit where credit is due. But with that being the case here, though, we've got to get ready, Andy. I think we've got short track action coming up this weekend, too, matter of fact.
That we do, Bristol.
Yeah, we
Yep,
do.
it's Bristol, baby.
Yeah, Bristol, baby. And the best part is it's not a dirt race this year. Once again, they're back on the asphalt, or on the concrete, rather. So the last great Coliseum, known as Bristol Motor Speedway, and the spring race never fails to deliver epic proportions when it comes
all 3 series are going to be there this weekend.
So again, Bristol, baby, it's the last great Coliseum here, Andy. And you say all 3 series are going there this weekend. I'm looking forward to it. And word on the street has it that Kyle Larson is going for that clean sweep. We talked about it a few weeks ago. After Darlington, I don't know. I'm kind of iffy on him this weekend.
But Kyle Larson's a threat any weekend.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where they're racing or what they're racing. Everybody's going to have a bad day now and then. But don't forget, we got our own Jeremy Taylor out there wrenching on that number 5 car and all the other Hendrick cars. So
then how do we explain Byron and Willie B's blow up this past weekend?
Hey, talk to their engine shop. Jeremy doesn't work in the engine shop.
Oh man, Jeremy, JT, we love you, brother. If you're listening to the show, you can text me later. All sorts of obscenities. I don't care.
And he will.
Oh man, but got to move on now to the world of the Xfinity Series here, Andy. And Brandon Jones got something good going on this weekend, or this past weekend at Darlington, taking himself home a win in the Xfinity race and ending a 98-race winless streak. And with their schedule every year, that's almost a 3-year winless streak.
Yep, it's good to see him get his first Xfinity Series win, and in that number 20. So it shows you the kid's got some talent, and you will see more from him as things move forward.
Yes, we
Absolutely.
will. 100% we will indeed, and I am looking forward to that one. But, I saw something, too, this morning on X, and this was the funniest damn thing I think I've ever seen. So, we all know who NASCAR Chasm is, right?
Who?
NASCAR Chasm?
Never heard of him.
Oh, my Lord. How have y'all not seen a NASCAR Chasm posted anywhere, whether it be X or Facebook or anything like that? But, okay, so folks out there in the community, you probably know who NASCAR Chasm is if you're on social media. NASCAR Chasm is NASCAR Sarcasm. It's like a parody page, more or less.
Oh.
And so he makes various jokes about other drivers, and some take light to it. Some actually get rather offended by it. It's funny as hell to watch, if I'm being completely honest. And we saw how Austin Hill this past weekend got a little bit rowdy on the track. You saw that, right, Andy?
No.
You didn't see Austin Hill bumping and grinding a little bit on the track?
No, I didn't see that.
I saw him all whining and crying about Chastain. But I didn't see nothing that Ross did wrong except race.
Yeah, exactly. But no. So the NASCAR Chasm that I found, or the post that I found from NASCAR Chasm this morning, showed where I guess Austin Hill was in the drivers' meeting, speaking up, talking that he wanted to be a mentor to younger drivers coming into the series, but his actions on the track lately were more like that of the big T-Rex chasing down the Jeep in Jurassic Park, like. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that.
I think we're gonna have to check that out, Andy. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm missing something somewhere.
I'll show for those listening on audio on demand or video on demand, or if you're watching this video on demand as well. I'll try and find that post and see if I can put it up on our Facebook page later this afternoon on Monday, and see what we can do there. But oh man, so one of our other friends is in the news this week too. Andy, did you hear about the Rocket Man?
I did. Rocket Man wins at Orange County Speedway in a Coulter Motorsports open wheel modified.
Yep,
That's cool.
sure did. Rougemont, North Carolina, Ryan Newman, 18 victories and 733 starts in the NASCAR Cup Series, but he may have collected one of his, in his opinion, most thrilling victories on Saturday at Orange County as Newman used a three-wide pass for the lead to win the Rumble in Rougemont in the Smart Modified Tour at the 3/8 mile racetrack. So yeah, that was a big win for our buddy there.
Yep, that's right. And it's also awesome. Coulter Motorsports wins again.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And now, Andy, I know you take light to MotoGP, MotoAmerica every now and again. So,
Definitely.
John, they were racing in your neck of the woods down in Alabama this past weekend. You know that?
No, I know that. Where were they at? Barbers?
Let's see. I believe it was Barber's Motorsport Park, and double checking the.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
Let's see here. So, yeah, it's down in Leeds. So, yeah, that would be Barber Motorsport Park, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So, Andy, did you know those guys race in rain, unlike NASCAR?
Yep. Oh, definitely.
So from the looks of things here, Barber Motorsport Park this past weekend here, Attack Performance Progressive Yamaha Racing's Jake Gagne ended a winless streak drought. Now, we talk about, big time streaks like NASCAR and NHRA and other things like that. He ended a drought of a 350-day winless streak on Sunday at Barber Motorsport Park and did so in a dominant fashion with a runaway victory of multiple seconds ahead of the competition.
Nice.
So
Yeah, good for him.
big news for folks over in the MotoGP world, especially if you like those motorcycles. And I tell you what, now this is just me. This is my thinking on this, Andy, and we'll discuss this for a second here. How do you feel like they can race in the rain like that, especially knowing they have to lean in like they do to make some of those tight corners?
No, they race on groove tires, rain tires, and you know, these motors, especially these GP bikes, are very very light. And I've seen them throw them in there too hard. The bike gets out, they low side and slide off the track, or they end up getting loose, as we call it in four-wheel racing, and then all of a sudden they gain some traction and go over what's called the high side, when the bike stands up and they go spitting out over the top. And so yeah,
the one time Andy can describe racing and not botch it. I love it.
Oh, yeah. I'm a motorcycle guy, guys. You know, before I liked NASCAR, I was in the MotoGP. I'm a Kenny Roberts, Spencer, and all those guys from the old world. That's my heroes originally. So
Cool.
Oh, good stuff. Well, on that note here, and Andy, I got a fun topic to talk about to you here off the air too. Speaking of those sport bikes and everything like that, get your cop knowledge on a few things here and see what you think about something I got kind of planned here. But with that said, folks, that's going to wrap it up for the news this week. We've touched on everything: NASCAR, smart modified sprints. We've had MotoGP in the news. Nothing Formula One, nothing NHRA or IndyCar.
What do you mean? Max Verstappen won this weekend.
Now wait a minute, hold on. I did not see that headline. Oh God, Verstappen does it again. I'll tell you what, folks, we're not even going to get into that discussion today, because we hear it every single time, except for, you know, the couple of races that Lewis Hamilton has done good so far this season. So we're just going to leave it at that. Verstappen gets the win. Blase, 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 blah.
Yeah, wins the Japanese Grand Prix.
Yep, Verstappen with the Japanese GP win this past weekend. So we'll leave it at that here, folks. For Andrew DeLay, for the NASCAR chef John Dix, I am producer Wayne. We love you guys, and until next time. And actually, we've got Gunshine coming up this Wednesday, Andy.
We do, yeah. We got us a band, baby, on Wednesday.
And again, folks, the what we talked about a couple of weeks ago. When you listen to the music, we want your opinion: Southern fried rock, or kind of like new age-ish, like something other than Southern fried rock.
It's not Southern fried rock. It is the modern day Leonard Skinner, as far as I'm concerned. Not they sound like Leonard Skinner, no. They don't sound like Molly Hatchet, no. None of that stuff, but they are the modern day equivalent, these boys being out of Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay. Well,
That's my home ground. That's where I grew up, in Jacksonville.
Well,
I actually grew up with some of the Skinner boys, believe it or not, and still friends with one of the few band members left. None of the actual band members are still alive, but Gene Odom, who was their head of security and a friend of Ronnie's from day one, is still lives in Inverness and still a friend of mine.
Very cool.
Yep.
All right. Well, with that said here, folks, Wednesday, we got Gunshine coming on, so do be on the lookout for that one. But until then, we will see you next time, and burning rubber, baby.
Burning rubber, baby.
Burning rubber, baby.
Woo!